What if I told you that in just 7 days you could start becoming the kind of person no one can shake? Not because you've suddenly become invincible, but because you've learned how to stand still while the world shakes around you. Becoming mentally unshakable doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It means you've trained your mind to respond with clarity, not chaos. We all want to be stronger, to stop getting thrown off by people, by stress, by life. We say we want peace of mind, focus, resilience, but the truth is, none of that sticks if we don't first understand why we're doing this in the first place. Mental strength doesn't come from pretending to be tough or acting like nothing affects you. It comes from being anchored, grounded in something deeper than goals or outcomes. You can build habits, routines, even confidence, but if it's not built on a solid foundation, it will crack under pressure. That foundation is your why. Your why is not about external rewards. It's not to prove them wrong or to get rich or to be better than others. Those are short term. They burn out. And when they do, you'll be left with nothing to fall back on. But when your actions are aligned with a purpose that's rooted in you, your strength becomes untouchable. It becomes who you are, not just what you do. Ask yourself this. When life gets hard, not if, but when, what will make you keep going? What will remind you that quitting is not an option? That's your why. It's personal, it's quiet, and often it's found in your most painful moments. Sometimes your why is born in the parts of your story that you wouldn't post about. The rejection, the loneliness, the time you felt invisible. That pain teaches you what matters. It shows you who you don't want to be. And from that clarity, your why emerges. The most mentally unshakable people aren't cold, they're clear. They don't react to everything because they know what they're rooted in. They can walk away from noise, opinions, even temptation, not because they don't feel it, but because it doesn't align with what they're here to do. Here's the truth. People who don't know why they're doing something give up easily. When it gets tough, they retreat. They change their mind, they blame, they seek validation. But when you're deeply connected to your purpose, your mind shifts. You stop needing to be understood by everyone. You stop chasing attention. You realize your value is not up for negotiation. Your why becomes your filter. It helps you say no to distraction. It helps you protect your energy. It helps you bounce back faster because you're not shaken by every little thing. You have a mission, and that mission matters more than the fear, the doubt, or the discomfort. But you don't find your why by reading a quote or listening to a speech. You find it by getting quiet, by stepping back from the world and asking yourselves the uncomfortable questions. What do I believe in? What breaks my heart? What am I here to contribute? What kind of life do I refuse to settle for? It takes courage to go there. Most people avoid it. They'd rather stay busy, keep scrolling, keep moving, because sitting with themselves feels heavy. But those who are brave enough to face it, they come out stronger, clearer, unshakable. Because once you know your why, you no longer need to prove anything. You just move with intention, with purpose, with peace. And that is where true strength begins. Motivation feels good, but it's unreliable. It comes in waves, strong in the morning, gone by the afternoon. You watch a video, hear a speech, read a quote, and you feel like you can conquer the world. Then life hits. Stress piles up. Doubt creeps in. Suddenly that fire you felt, it's gone. And this is where most people stop. They wait for motivation to come back. They wait to feel ready again. But those who win, those who grow, evolve, and become mentally unshakable, they don't wait. They don't rely on emotion. They rely on discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like it. It's the quiet force that carries you when motivation disappears. It's showing up to the gym when you're tired. It's writing when the inspiration is gone. It's choosing the right thing over the easy thing again and again, without applause, without hype. Discipline is not exciting. It's not glamorous. But it builds something stronger than excitement ever could: consistency. And consistency is the foundation of strength. Anyone can be great for a day. Anyone can push hard when they're fired up. But what about the days you feel empty? What about when no one is watching? What about when results are slow and progress feels invisible? That's when discipline steps in. It keeps you grounded. It reminds you of your standards. It pulls you forward when your emotions try to pull you back. People say, I just can't stay motivated. The truth is, no one can, not all the time. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the firewood. If you want a fire that burns all night, you can't depend on the spark. You need to stack the wood, keep it lit, protect it. That's what discipline does. It builds a system around your goals so you don't fall apart every time your feelings shift. Discipline also creates identity. Every time you follow through on a promise to yourself, you're sending a message to your mind, I can trust me. And over time, that trust compounds. It turns into belief, into self-respect, into quiet confidence. You stop needing external validation because you know who you are when no one's watching. A disciplined mind is not perfect, it's prepared. It understands that emotions come and go, but values stay. It doesn't negotiate with weakness. It doesn't make decisions based on comfort. It knows that easy choices make a hard life, and hard choices create a powerful one. And no, you don't need to feel like a machine. You don't need to be robotic or emotionless. You just need to be clear on your priorities. Discipline isn't about being harsh. It's about being honest. It's saying, this is what I want. This is what it takes. And I'm willing to show up for it, even when I don't feel like it. You can't control when motivation hits, but you can control your actions. You can build a routine. You can design your environment. You can create systems that support your goals, even on your worst days. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers. The truth is, you don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your discipline. And if you've built that discipline brick by brick with effort, patience, and persistence, then no matter how hard the wind blows, you won't break. That's where real strength is. Not in the moment you feel inspired, but in the moment you feel nothing and still choose to move forward. We live in a results-obsessed world. Win or lose, succeed or fail, numbers, metrics, followers, trophies, everything is measured, ranked, and compared. And it's easy to get caught up in it, to start tying your worth to outcomes. You think you're doing well only if you're achieving. You feel valuable only if you're winning. But the truth is, that mindset makes you fragile. Because the moment things don't go your way, your confidence collapses. That's why the strongest minds are the ones that learn to detach from the outcome. Detaching from the outcome doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you stop trying. It means you shift your focus from what you can't control, results, to what you can control, effort, attitude, and discipline. It means you stop obsessing over the scoreboard and start falling in love with the process. Because that's where growth lives. That's where mental toughness is built. When you chase only outcomes, your self-worth becomes conditional. You win, you feel proud. You lose, you feel like a failure. You get the promotion, you feel worthy. You get rejected, you feel broken. That's not strength, that's dependency. And dependency on things you can't control will always lead to anxiety, burnout, and self-doubt. And mentally unshakable operate differently. They show up for the work, not just the reward. They care more about who they're becoming than what they're achieving. They focus on mastery over validation. And ironically, because of that focus, they often do achieve incredible things, but they're not ruled by it. When your mind is locked on the outcome, you start cutting corners. You start forcing things. You chase fast wins instead of sustainable progress. You become impatient, you rush, and when the result doesn't come fast enough, you spiral, you question everything. You think something's wrong with you, but nothing's wrong. You just placed your peace in the wrong place. True peace comes from knowing you gave your best, regardless of the result. True strength is knowing that even if you fail, you're still proud of how you showed up. It's realizing that progress isn't always visible, that growth often happens in silence, that some of your best days will look like nothing from the outside, but feel like everything on the inside. Detachment brings freedom. It allows you to play the long game, to make decisions from clarity, not desperation. It lets you stay grounded when others panic. It lets you take risks without fear of judgment. Because you're not tied to the outcome, you're anchored in your values. But it also makes you more resilient. Because if your goal fails, you don't. If your plan doesn't work, you don't fall apart. You adapt, you learn, you try again. That kind of mindset is dangerous in the best way. because nothing outside of you can shake what's inside of you. So let go, not of your ambition, but of the need to control every result. Let go of the timeline, the comparison, the pressure to prove something. Show up fully, work hard, be intentional, but remember that your value is not in the finish line, it's in the way you run the race. When you detach from the outcome, you take your power back. You stop chasing results and start becoming someone who's unshakable regardless of what happens next. And that, not the trophy, not the applause, is what real victory looks like. Struggle is uncomfortable. It's messy, unpredictable, and often shows up when we least expect it. Most people run from it. They see it as a sign that something's gone wrong, that they've failed, that they're falling behind, that life is unfair. But what if struggle isn't the enemy? What if it's the exact thing that's shaping you into who you're meant to be? The truth is, every struggle holds a gift, but you only receive it if you're willing to reframe how you see it. Struggle reveals what comfort hides. When everything is easy, we coast. We rely on what we know. We don't challenge ourselves, and we certainly don't grow. But when struggle enters, it forces us to adapt. It exposes our weaknesses, sharpens our focus, and demands something new from us. That pressure, it's where transformation begins. Diamonds are made under pressure, not in peace. Reframing struggle doesn't mean pretending it feels good. It means choosing to believe it can be good for you. It means asking different questions, not why is this happening to me, but what is this trying to teach me? That shift in mindset turns struggle from an obstacle into a teacher. It turns pain into wisdom. It turns setbacks into setups. The most resilient people in the world weren't born with some magical strength. They were broken, they were stretched, they were tested, and instead of letting the struggle define them, they used it to refine them. They didn't just go through hard times, they grew through them. That's the power of perspective. It doesn't remove the pain, but it gives it purpose. When you learn to reframe your struggle, you start to see patterns. You realize the things that once broke you are now the reasons you're stronger. The rejection that shattered your confidence, it taught you how to believe in yourself without needing anyone else's approval. The failure that embarrassed you, it taught you how to keep going without tying your identity to your results. The loss that brought you to your knees, it taught you what really matters. You don't become mentally unshakable by avoiding pain. You become unshakable by surviving it and learning from it. Every time you face something hard and keep moving, you prove to yourself that you're capable, that you're still standing, that you're still building. That's real power. But this shift takes honesty. You have to be willing to face the parts of you that feel defeated. You have to admit when something hurts instead of pretending it doesn't. Then, and only then, can you choose to turn that pain into fuel, into purpose, into growth. There's a quote that says, "Rock bottom will teach you lessons that mountaintops never will." And it's true. Struggle strips away the noise. It reveals who you really are, and it gives you a chance to decide who you want to become. So don't fear the struggle. Don't hide from it or wish it away. Meet it head on. Let it teach you. Let it mold you. Let it make you better. Because every struggle contains a seed of strength, of clarity, of character. But you only see it if you stop cursing the storm and start learning how to dance in the rain. The next time life gets heavy, remind yourself this is not the end. This is the beginning of a new level of you. And when you learn to see struggle as a gift, not a curse, you become someone the world can't break. The world is louder than ever. Notifications, opinions, comparisons, distractions, they're everywhere, all the time. From the moment you wake up, something is trying to steal your attention. And most people don't even realize it's happening. They move through life reacting to everything. A comment, a trend, a message, a mood. But mental strength doesn't come from reacting. It comes from choosing what matters, and to choose what matters, you have to silence the noise and sharpen your focus. Noise isn't just sound, it's anything that pulls you away from who you're trying to become. It's the endless scrolling that numbs your ambition. It's the self-doubt that echoes in your mind. It's the people who speak louder than your purpose. And if you don't take control of your environment, your attention will be spent on things that give you nothing back. Mentally unshakable understand that attention is a currency. Every time you give your energy to something meaningless, you're robbing your goals of the power they need to grow. That's why focus is not just a skill, it's a decision. A daily commitment to turn down the volume on the world so you can hear your own thoughts again. Clarity doesn't come from doing more, it comes from doing less, but doing it with intent. When your mind is pulled in 10 directions, everything feels urgent, nothing feels important. But when you focus, really focus, you start to see what actually moves you forward. You stop reacting to everything. You start choosing your battles. You stop chasing every opportunity and start mastering the few that matter. This is why boundaries are a form of self-respect. It's not rude to say no. It's necessary. Protecting your time, your energy, and your mental space is what allows you to grow without burning out. Most people aren't tired because they're working hard. They're tired because they're distracted. Constantly switching tasks, constantly being pulled into noise that doesn't serve them. To sharpen your focus, you have to get intentional. Create quiet moments in your day. Step away from your phone, sit in silence, journal, think, reflect. This might sound simple, even boring, but it's powerful. Because in the silence, your real thoughts surface. You stop being influenced by what everyone else is doing. You reconnect with what you need, what you believe, and what you want. You also have to be ruthless with your inputs. What are you watching? Who are you listening to? What are you allowing into your mental space every day? If it's not helping you grow, it's holding you back. Choose better inputs. Read things that challenge you. Listen to people who stretch you. Surround yourself with voices that remind you of your power, not your limitations. Sharpening your focus also means training your mind to be still. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every emotion requires a reaction. Learning to pause, to breathe, to observe, to reflect is how you stop being a slave to your impulses and start becoming the master of your actions. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to chase everything. You just need to commit to what truly matters. The mission, the growth, the vision. And when you do, the noise fades, the pressure lifts, the path clears. Because the stronger your focus becomes, the quieter the world feels. Not because it's actually quiet, but because you've trained your mind to rise above the noise. That's how you build a life of purpose in a world full of distraction. That's how you become mentally unshakable. Holding on is easy. Holding on to anger, to betrayal, to things you wish had gone differently, it gives you a sense of control. But what it really gives you is weight. It drags you, slows you down, clouds your mind. And while you're replaying what they did or how unfair it was or what you should have said, life is moving forward without you. If you want to be mentally unshakable, you have to learn to do something that most people avoid. Forgive fast and move forward. Forgiveness isn't about saying what happened was okay. It's not about pretending you weren't hurt or acting like you're fine. It's about understanding that your peace is more valuable than your pride. That carrying resentment only chains you to the past. Forgiveness is a release, not for them, but for you. It's how you unburden your mind and free up space to focus on what matters most. The strongest people aren't the ones who hold grudges. They're the ones who refuse to be controlled by anything that isn't serving their growth. Forgiving fast doesn't mean you forget the lesson. It means you stop replaying the pain. You acknowledge it, learn from it, and let it go so it doesn't control your future. Think about it. How much energy have you spent on someone who's not even thinking about you? How many days have you wasted reliving a moment you can't change? Every second spent on bitterness is a second you're not using to build, to create, to heal. Forgiveness is how you take your power back. It's how you reclaim your time, your focus, your freedom. Forgiving fast is not weakness, it's strength under control. It's choosing to let go, not because they deserve peace, but because you do. And when you let go, you create space for clarity, for creativity, for movement. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. You stop looking backward and start walking forward with a clear heart and a focused mind. But forgiveness isn't just about others. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. The mistakes you made, the people you hurt, the opportunities you missed. You carry shame like a backpack, believing it's part of who you are. But it's not. You are not your past. You are not your worst moment. You are who you choose to be now. Forgive yourself. Not to escape responsibility, but to accept it with grace and move forward with wisdom. Forgiveness is also momentum. The faster you let go, the faster you can redirect your energy. Life moves quickly, and if you spend all your time stuck in regret or resentment, you'll miss the opportunities that are trying to find you. Every delay in forgiveness is a delay in your progress, and progress requires movement. That's what mentally strong people do. They don't get stuck. They don't replay the same wound over and over. They extract the lesson, release the weight, and keep building. They understand that holding on doesn't protect them, it poisons them. And letting go doesn't make them naive, it makes them free. So forgive fast for the peace you want, for the clarity you need, for the growth you deserve. Forgive fast so you can show up to your life with both hands open, not clinging to the past, but ready for what's next. Because the quicker you let go, the lighter you become. And the lighter you are, the faster you rise. That's how you move forward, not by fighting what was, but by flowing into what can be.